Cold space stretched endlessly, silent, black, and ancient. Between the stars, hidden shapes drifted, unseen by every telescope, untouched by every sensor. They were the Veilborn, watchers cloaked in shadows deeper than light. For 1,000 years, they had observed countless worlds, studying life from behind their invisible curtain. They called it the Long Silence. No creature had ever pierced their veil. But this night, in the far arm of a small spiral galaxy, something shifted. Their gaze fell upon a blue world, spinning in quiet orbit. They had catalogued it for centuries, marking its species as loud, reckless, curious, a primitive civilization soon to destroy itself. Earth was to be their final experiment: observe, record, then vanish. Inside the command sphere of the Veilborn vessel Silhera, a chorus of minds whispered across the void. "They grow quickly," one said. "They do not see," another replied. "They never do." Below them, city lights shimmered across continents like sparks on black stone. Humanity went on unaware, staring into the sky with tiny instruments. Never-knowing eyes far older watched back. But on this night, something happened. Something no Veilborn had witnessed before, high in the Chilean Andes, where the air was thin and the stars felt close enough to touch. Dr. Lina Marquez sat alone inside the control room of the Atacama Deep Space Observatory. It was past midnight. The rest of the team had gone home, leaving her with the humming machines, the blinking lights, and the endless data streaming across the monitors. She sipped cold coffee, scrolling through images of deep sky clusters, when a flicker caught her eye, a brief distortion, like heat above desert sand. It came and went so fast she thought it was fatigue. She replayed the feed. Nothing. She frowned, zoomed in, enhanced the pixels. Again, a ripple. Stars bending. Light warping. That wasn't possible. Lina leaned closer, her heartbeat slowing. What was that? Footsteps echoed behind her. Her assistant, Diego, poked his head in, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "You're still here." "It's 2 a.m., Lina." "I saw something," she said without looking away. "A lensing effect, but not from a black hole." "It's too close," he squinted at the monitor. "Probably a data glitch. Cosmic rays can mess with—" "Not like this." She isolated the frame, overlaying the telescope's position. The distortion wasn't out in deep space. It was in orbit. Diego chuckled nervously. "You're telling me there's a black hole circling Earth now?" Lina ignored him. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, slowing the feed frame by frame. The stars behind the distortion moved, not twinkled, not flickered, moved as if bent around something enormous. She whispered, "There's mass here." The room seemed to tighten. Outside, the wind howled over snow and rock. "Okay," Diego said, trying to sound calm. "Even if it's not a glitch, satellites cause reflections all the time. This isn't reflection. This is gravitational." He stared at her. "That's impossible. We'd know if something that big was up there." She looked up from the monitor, eyes sharp. "We don't know everything." For a long moment, they listened to the soft hum of machines. Lina's mind raced. Years of research, long nights under cold skies, endless data. And now this, a shadow in orbit bending the light of stars. She replayed it again. The distortion pulsed, faint and deliberate, almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Then it vanished. The monitor went black. "Power issue?" Diego asked, reaching for the console. "No," Lina said slowly. "Only this feed." The other screens flickered, data streams cutting in and out. Outside, lightning flashed across the desert, though there were no clouds. "Maybe we should shut it down," Diego muttered. Lina's eyes stayed on the blank monitor. "Wait." For a second, static shimmered, and something shaped appeared within the noise. Not random, not natural, an outline, a curve of metal, a surface glinting faintly where no light should touch it. She froze. "My God, what?" Diego asked. "There's something up there," she whispered. "Something huge." The static deepened. For a fraction of a second, the stars shifted again, bending around the invisible mass. Then, una pulse, a whisper cut through the speakers. Not sound, but something like it. A tone low and distant, layered with patterns that felt almost alive. Diego backed away. "That's not coming from us." Lina slowly turned her head toward him, face pale. "They're watching us." The lights above flickered once, twice, then went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Only the glow of the emergency lamp remained, painting Lina's face in red. The hum of the observatory died, one system after another shutting down. She stared at the monitor, now glowing faint green. Words appeared ghost-like. Across the screen, "Do not look." Lena's breath caught. "What is this?" The words faded. The screen went black. Outside, the wind stopped. Complete silence, then a single beep. One of the backup instruments blinked on. Coordinates scrolled across it, orbital paths, times, directions, forming a pattern around Earth like an unseen constellation. "They're mapping us," Lena said, voice trembling. Diego's voice shook. "Who?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Above the silent desert, stars shimmered softly. Far beyond the clouds, shadows moved. Slow, deliberate, patient, watching. For the first time in the history of the universe, the Watchers were being watched, and they knew it. The observatory was silent when dawn broke across the Andes. Frost clung to the windows, and the mountain air bit cold against the skin. Dr. Lena Marquez hadn't slept. She sat before the lifeless monitors, a blanket draped around her shoulders, eyes red from replaying the same moment again and again. The distortion, the pulse, the message, "Do not look, it wasn't a dream." The data was real. Her assistant, Diego, shuffled into the room carrying 2 steaming mugs. "You've been up all night," he said quietly. "We should report this." "Report it to who?" Lena murmured. "If I tell the university, they'll say it's a glitch. If I go to the press, they'll call it a hoax." She took the coffee, her hands trembling slightly. "No one believes what they can't see." Diego hesitated. "Then we send it higher. Government, military, somebody who listens." Lena stared at the blank screen, jaw set. She'd spent her life looking outward, chasing faint signals, chasing truth. Now something had looked back. "All right," she said finally. "Let's send it to someone who has to listen." By noon, encrypted copies of the footage reached a small windowless office, buried beneath United Nations Space Command in Geneva. The message was flagged anomaly urgent. Captain Aaron Singh, chief analyst of orbital security, leaned over his desk, eyes narrowing at the video. The flicker, the distortion, the stars bending around nothing. He replayed it again, slower this time. He'd seen debris fields, covert satellites, even cloaked drones, but this was different. There was no thermal signature, no radar echo, no mechanical trace, just gravity where nothing should be. "Captain Singh?" a technician asked. "You think it's a hoax?" Aaron shook his head. "If it's fake, it's a good one. Too clean for CGI, too precise." He leaned back in his chair. "Run it through every satellite feed from last night. I want cross-reference from orbital bands 1 to 7. "Yes, sir." He rubbed his temple. Something deep in his gut told him this wasn't a joke. This was contact. Not in the way people imagined, but in silence, in shadow. Someone or something had been above them, and someone on Earth had caught them looking. That evening, storm clouds gathered over the Atacama Desert. Lena stood outside the observatory, staring at the darkening sky. The air felt strange, heavy, like the pause before thunder. She heard boots crunch on gravel behind her. A black SUV stopped at the gate. 2 men stepped out. Plain suits, no insignia. One flashed a badge. "Dr. Marquez." "Yes?" "I'm Special Agent Whitmore, United Nations Space Command. We need to speak with you about your findings." Her stomach tightened. "You saw it?" "Yes," he said simply. "We need your cooperation." "This anomaly you recorded, it's showing up everywhere." "Everywhere," he nodded. "Low Earth orbit, high geostationary bands, even lunar shadow sectors. Whatever it is, it's not alone." Lena's pulse quickened. We're saying your telescope caught something classified beyond all known systems." He lowered his voice. "And someone doesn't want you to keep looking." Before she could reply, Diego rushed out of the control room, waving a tablet. "Lena, you need to see this!" He turned the screen toward her, data scrolling rapidly. Signal activity just spiked across global observatories. "Same pattern, same distortion." Whitmore frowned. "They're adjusting their positions." Lena's eyes widened. "They're hiding again." A low hum rolled across the desert, too deep to be thunder. The sand at their feet shivered. "Everyone inside," Whitmore barked. They ran back into the control room. Screens flickered alive, feeds from telescopes worldwide syncing automatically. Lines of code cascaded across the display, forming a strange pattern. "What is that?" Diego whispered. Lena's breath caught. It wasn't random as it was language. Shapes forming symbols, repeating in rhythm. She recognized one phrase, observation breached. Whitmore's radio crackled. Command to Field 1. We've got visual confirmation in Sector 4. Target anomaly forming gravitational wake. Lena turned sharply. Sector 4? That's geostationaries above the Pacific. Put it on screen, Whitmore ordered. A live feed flashed up as dark space stars steady. Then slowly light bent. A shimmering wave spread outward, revealing the faint outline of a colossal object, translucent like glass, something bigger than any satellite ever built. The room fell silent. My God, Diego breathed. The storm rolled over the Andes like a dark ocean, lightning flashing across the peaks. Inside the observatory, Dr. Lena Marquez stood frozen before the monitor, staring at the last message glowing faintly on the screen. If you see them again, run. The room was silent except for the low hum of emergency power. Agent Whitmore spoke first. We're locking this place down. No one enters, no one leaves. From this moment, what you saw doesn't leave these walls. Lena turned to him, voice steady but low. You can't just bury this. People have a right to know. Whitmore shook his head. If they find out too soon, panic will do more damage than any alien ever could. Right now our job is to understand what we're facing. Outside, thunder cracked, a reminder that something vast was moving above them, unseen. Whitmore tapped his earpiece. Command, this is Field 1. Package is secure. Begin Project Ether. Lena frowned. Project what? Ether, he said. An initiative built for impossible threats. Now it's yours. 2 days later, Lena was flown to Geneva, where the UN Space Command's Deep Analysis Unit worked under constant surveillance. She entered a dim, circular room lined with hollow screens and cables. At the center stood Captain Arun Singh, the analyst who first verified her footage. He offered a nod. Dr. Marquez, you're the one who saw them first. Lena looked around. The room buzzed with quiet urgency. Scientists, engineers, linguists. What exactly are we building here? Arun gestured toward the main display. A rotating map of Earth glowed in midair, dotted with red lights. The anomalies aren't random. They form a grid, orbital positions that shift in sync as if tracking our satellites. They're watching us watch them, Lena murmured. Exactly, Arun said. Our telescopes can't see through their cloak, but your discovery gave us something, a weakness. Every time they move, they distort gravity. We can trace that, he pressed a command. Thin lines formed between the dots, creating faint outlines, shapes in orbit, ships, dozens of them. Lena's breath caught. How many? 42 confirmed, possibly more in higher bands. 42 invisible ships above our heads, she whispered. And no one knows, Arun crossed his arms. Until now. Project Ether's goal is simple. Hunt what hides. We'll build instruments to reveal them. Neutrino arrays, quantum triangulators. Every tool we have. Lena nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the glowing shapes. If they think we can't see them, maybe that's our advantage. Arun's expression darkened. Let's hope it stays that way. Meanwhile, far above Earth, aboard one of the hidden vessels, the Veilborn Council gathered. The room was spherical, walls shimmering with dark light. At its center stood Kailtor, commander of the Watch. They saw us, one voice hissed. Impossible, said another. The veil cannot be pierced. Kailtor raised a hand. Yet it was. Their instruments caught our form. Their signals touched our code. The humans looked. They are a young species, another protested. Primitive, reckless, they should not see. Kailtor's eyes glowed faint silver. And yet they did. He turned to the viewing pane. Below them, the blue planet shimmered in cloud and sea. We cannot remain unseen. We must decide. A voice from the shadows whispered. Erase them. Kailtor hesitated. The code forbids intervention. The code forbids exposure, the voice replied coldly. We are no longer hidden. End the experiment, silence. Kailtor looked again at Earth. Cities glittering like constellations, storms swirling over oceans. Something in him stirred, something ancient and uncertain. No, he said finally. We watch, we learn. They broke the silence. Perhaps they deserve to speak. Back in Geneva, the Ether team worked through sleepless nights. The hum of machinery filled the lab as Lena and Arun calibrated new instruments. Neutrino scans are live, Arun said. If we hit them with a wide beam pulse, we might outline the ships for a few seconds. Lena checked the console. How many seconds do we need to prove they're real? He smiled faintly. Just one. They ran the test. A burst of invisible particles shot into orbit. For a heartbeat, the map flared. 42 bright silhouettes hanging above Earth like ghosts caught in sunlight. Got them, Lena shouted, but the triumph vanished quickly. Alarms blared. What happened? Harun called. They're moving, an operator shouted. All ships just shifted formation. Lena stared at the data. Do they know we saw them? On the orbital map, the dots spread outward, scattering into new positions, evasive, chaotic. Whitmore's voice came through the comms. Marquez Singh, shut it down. You've exposed our signal. Lena froze. They're responding. They're watching us back. Static filled the channel, then a new voice. Not human, deep, layered, harmonic. Cease observation. Everyone in the room went still. Was that them? Aaron whispered. Lena nodded slowly. They're talking to us. The voice came again, louder. You were not meant to see. Then silence. The lights flickered once, then stabilized. Lena's hands shook slightly on the console. They're aware. They know we're mapping them. Whitmore's voice returned, grim. Then it's official. We're not alone and they're not happy. Outside, the night sky above Geneva was calm, stars twinkling faintly. But hidden beyond that fragile shimmer, colossal ships shifted quietly, watching. For centuries, the Veilborn had been the unseen observers. Now, for the first time, they were the ones being tracked. And far below, humanity, fragile, stubborn, brilliant humanity, had become the first species to look back into the dark and see. For 3 days, the image spread across the world. The massive shape, glinting silver above the Pacific, loomed over breaking waves like a mountain hanging in the sky. At first, people called it a hoax, a clever illusion, a viral stunt. But when weather satellites and air traffic sensors confirmed it, denial turned to panic. News channels played the footage on loop. Crowds filled streets in New York, London, Mumbai, and Tokyo, pointing toward the heavens, where a faint outline shimmered in daylight. Children clutched their parents. Soldiers stood under open skies, fingers on triggers, though they knew no weapon could reach that high. For the first time in history, the entire planet looked up together, and the sky looked back. Inside the UN Space Command war room in Geneva, tension rippled through every console. Screens showed live feeds from across the globe, shaky phone videos, government radars, panicked broadcasts. Captain Arun Singh stood before the main display, jaw tight. So much for secrecy. Agent Whitmore rubbed his temples. The feed leaked within minutes. We can't contain it now. Dr. Lena Marquez paced beside them, her eyes fixed on the massive ship glowing faintly on screen. They didn't mean to reveal themselves, she said softly. That was a warning. A message. Whitmore glanced at her. You think this is communication? Yes, Lena said. Every move they've made has purpose. They want us to know they're there. And they want to see how we react, Arun frowned. They'll be disappointed. Half the world's losing its mind. Outside the compound, protests were forming. Fear, awe, worship, anger. Some called the visitors gods. Others called them invaders. The world had split overnight, above the Pacific. Aboard the vast Veilborn vessel Silura, Commander Kyle Tor stood before the observation pane, his eyes on the swirling planet below. Exposure is complete, reported a pale figure beside him. Their kind sees us now. They will never forget. Kaltor's voice was calm, almost sorrowful. No veil can be mended once torn. The Council demands action, the figure pressed. The code forbids being seen. If they remember us, we must erase them. Kaltor closed his eyes. For eons, the Veilborn had watched from shadow, silent archivists of doomed civilizations. Each species they studied, once aware, had vanished, consumed by their own fear or wiped clean by Veilborn decree. But humanity was different. They had pierced the cloak not with power, but with curiosity. They saw us because they searched, Kaltor said, because they dared to look beyond their reach. That alone sets them apart. The aide hesitated. And if the Council overrides you? Kaltor turned, his silver eyes glowing faintly. Then I will break the code before I break this world. Back on Earth, chaos brewed. In Washington, emergency meetings filled underground bunkers. In Beijing, generals demanded to know if this was an act of war. In Moscow, analysts studied every frequency, every flicker of light, searching for weakness. And across social media, billions of voices clashed: awe, disbelief, terror. Memes and prayers shared the same screens, but amid the noise, one message emerged, a broadcast replayed by news networks worldwide. Lena stood before cameras at the UN press podium, flanked by armed guards. Her face was pale but steady. "We are not under attack," she said. "The object you see is not a weapon. It is a watcher. For centuries they have hidden above us. We discovered them, and now they know we can see. This is not the end. It's the beginning." Her words spread like fire, igniting debates across every border. Some took hope. Others took arms. Humanity had met its mirror, and no one knew what would stare back next. That night the ship dimmed. The faint glow that had made it visible slowly faded. From observatories around the world came the same report. "It's disappearing again." In Geneva, alarms blared. "They're activating cloaking fields," Aaron said, fingers racing across the console. Whitmore cursed. "We're losing visual." Lena watched as the ship's outline blurred, edges dissolving like smoke. "They're retreating," Aaron frowned. "Or resetting. Maybe they're trying to hide again." The lights in the control room flickered, and for a moment static filled every screen. The Andean winds howled again, cold and sharp, sweeping across the lonely ridges that cradled the observatory. The world below had returned to uneasy calm. The ship that once hung over the Pacific was gone, erased from every satellite, every server, every broadcast. But Dr. Lena Marquez still remembered. She sat alone in the dim archive room, the hum of old machinery echoing softly. Before her lay stacks of printed data, pages of star charts, gravity readings, and the last coordinates received before the blackout. She traced her finger over the ink, eyes narrowing at the strange symbols embedded within the numbers. Not human, yet unmistakably deliberate. A code. A pattern. A message. Her hand paused at a cluster of coordinates, not in orbit, not in space, in the mountains. Right where she sat, Lena exhaled slowly. "You left something behind." Later that night, clouds thickened over the Andes. Lightning flashed across distant peaks, though the air remained eerily still. Lena stepped outside wrapped in a heavy coat, a flashlight in hand. Her boots crunched against gravel as she followed the narrow path leading toward the ridge behind the observatory. The wind carried no sound. No birds, no rustle. Only the distant roll of thunder. Her mind replayed the last message, the one buried deep in the analog data, the one no machine could erase. "We see them too." Who or what had sent it? Another watcher? A rival to the Veilborn? Or something worse? She reached the ridge's edge. The ground trembled faintly, a low vibration rising through her boots. She lifted the flashlight and froze. Before her in the darkness the air shimmered. Like heat over asphalt, it rippled and twisted, bending the starlight into strange living shapes. Lena's breath caught. No way. A deep hum filled the night. The shimmer thickened, coalescing into a sphere of light, then splitting apart into long arching lines, the silhouette of a ship descending silently onto the mountainside. As it touched down, the distortion peeled away like mist, revealing smooth black metal gleaming under flashes of lightning. Lena stumbled backward, eyes wide. It's you," a soft hiss echoed as a panel slid open. A figure emerged, tall and slender, draped in pale fabric that flowed like smoke. Its eyes glowed faintly silver, reflecting the storm. Kyle Tor. He stepped forward, boots silent on rock, every movement graceful, measured. When he spoke, his voice carried the resonance of many tones layered as one. "You should not have seen us." Lena steadied herself, the wind whipping her hair. "You tried to hide, but we looked anyway." Kael'tor studied her quietly. "No world has ever pierced the veil, not in all the cycles I have lived. You have done what none dared." "Because we're curious," Lena said softly. "Because we question everything." He tilted his head slightly. "Curiosity is a fire. It burns the hand that feeds it." She took a cautious step forward. "Then why are you here? Why show yourself again?" Lightning flared behind him, outlining his form against the storm. "Because something else has seen us now. And it does not forgive," Lena frowned. "What do you mean?" Kael'tor's gaze shifted skyward, eyes narrowing. "There are older eyes in the dark. Older than your son, older than my kind. We are not the first watchers. We only hide from those who came before. A chill ran through her. Something bigger? He nodded slowly. You pulled back the curtain. Now it looks through you. The ground shook faintly, a tremor that seemed to echo from deep beneath the mountain. Lena steadied herself. Then help us. Tell us what's coming. Kael'tor's expression darkened. You misunderstand. There is no stopping what awakens when the unseen is seen. There is only delay. We came to erase the memory to save you from it. But you resisted. You remembered. Now the signal has spread. She looked up at him, eyes firm. So you're saying this thing is coming for us? He hesitated, then slowly reached into his cloak. From within he drew a crystalline object, a shard of translucent blue pulsing faintly with light. This is a map, he said. The path we followed to escape. It leads beyond the veil's edge. Follow it and you may live. Lena took the crystal carefully. It was cold but alive, humming faintly, vibrating with patterns she could almost understand. What's on the other end? She asked. Kael'tor's voice dropped, almost a whisper. A world that looked too long into the dark. A world that tried to fight it. Lena frowned. What happened to them? He met her eyes, silver reflecting human brown. They are the echo beneath your mountains. The ones who sent your last message. The ones who said, we see them too. The realization struck her like ice. They're here. Kael'tor stepped back, his form beginning to blur again, fading into distortion. Your sight is your gift. And your curse. The sky has turned its gaze upon you now. When you see it, do not run. Do not speak. Only hide. Wait, she called, reaching out. There must be a way. But his voice faded with the storm. The eyes that stare back are never blind. The shimmer folded inward, collapsing into silence. Lena stood alone, wind whipping across the ridge, the crystal glowing softly in her hand. She looked up. The clouds parted for a moment, revealing a single star burning brighter than the rest, pulsing, alive, watching. The observatory lights flickered against the cold walls, shadows twisting as machines hummed back to life. Dr. Lena Marquez stood frozen before the hologram, a broken planet suspended in mid-air, its continents carved into massive staring eyes. The image pulsed faintly like it was breathing. Her assistant Diego stepped in, eyes wide. Lena, but what is that? She didn't answer at first. Her hand hovered over the controls, adjusting the scan. Each pulse from the crystal revealed new fragments. Orbital debris, shattered moons, whispers of old cities erased from history. Then the word appeared again in clean translation. They are awake. Lena finally spoke, voice quiet. It's a warning. Diego swallowed hard. From who? She looked at the glowing shard. From the ones who saw before us. Thunder rumbled outside, distant but steady. The mountain air vibrated softly, almost like a low heartbeat. The observatory sensors flickered, seismic readings spiking, electromagnetic noise rising in strange rhythmic intervals. Diego leaned over her shoulder, eyes scanning the data. That's not geological, it's coordinated, Lena whispered. They're signaling. He turned to her sharply. Who is? She pointed upward. The ones behind the veil. Hours passed, but sleep never came. Lena sat alone in the control room, watching the endless sky. She replayed Kael'tor's final words in her head. The eyes that stare back are never blind. If the Veilborn weren't the first watchers, then what were they hiding from? She keyed in the coordinates from the crystal. The holographic star map expanded, highlighting a region of deep space, a sector far beyond the Milky Way's edge. A dark zone. No light, no radio, no reflection. Just emptiness. But as the map zoomed closer, faint echoes emerged. Gravitational ripples, micro-lensing signals, and heartbeat patterns. Something alive, something massive. Her screen beeped. A transmission faint and distant breaking through static. A voice distorted, layered with echoes. You should not have looked. Lena froze. Who is this? Static. Then again, faintly, we warned them too. The voice was old, heavy with sorrow, not Veilborn, not human. They watched the sky until the sky watched back. You have drawn the gaze. She leaned forward, heart pounding. How do we stop it? Silence. Then a whisper that seemed to come from everywhere at once. You cannot stop what has already seen you. The line went dead. Outside, a low rumble rolled across the mountains, deeper than thunder, shaking the observatory's foundations. Lena ran to the main window and froze. In the night sky, the stars moved, not twinkled. Not dimmed, moved. Slowly, deliberately, shifting positions until they formed a shape. A vast circular pattern. Pulsing faintly like an iris contracting, a colossal eye stared down from space. Lena's breath hitched. "It's them!" The instrument screamed, their alarms blaring, readings spiking off the charts. Gravitational distortions rippled through the atmosphere. Every compass spun. Every signal fractured. Diego rushed in, shouting, "It's global! All satellites are reporting—" He stopped mid-sentence, eyes locking on the sky. "Oh my God!" The circle above pulsed once, and a beam of faint, invisible light swept across the Andes. Wherever it passed, electronics shorted, metal warped, glass shattered. The beam stopped over the observatory. Lena felt it before she saw it. A pressure in her chest, a voice in her mind. "We see you." She dropped to her knees, clutching her head. Images flooded her vision, not memories, but fragments. Burning cities under alien skies. Colossal shadows drifting between galaxies. Civilizations kneeling before light that burned like suns. Voices echoed inside her mind. "You are not the first. You will not be the last." "The gaze remembers. Stop!" she shouted. "We didn't mean to look." The light flared, then vanished. The stars snapped back into their original places. Silence. Diego helped her to her feet, trembling. What was that? She stared out the window. A warning, a judgment, or both. In the following hours, chaos spread across the world. Astronomers reported anomalies in star charts, constellations shifting subtly, galaxies appearing where none existed. The International Space Station recorded a massive drop in orbital stability, as if gravity itself had changed direction for a moment. Governments scrambled to explain. Some claimed solar flares, others blamed software. But the scientists, the ones who saw, knew better. Something had looked back. At dawn, Lena sat on the ridge again, the crystal resting in her hands. The knock came again, slow, hollow, 3 times. Thud, thud, thud. Dr. Lena Marquez froze. The lights in the control room had gone dark minutes ago, the screen still showing that single chilling phrase. Observation complete. Phase 2, interaction. Diego looked at her nervously. That's not the wind, right? No. They exchanged a glance. Fear, but also the shared understanding that whatever waited on the other side wasn't supposed to exist. Lena stepped toward the door, each footstep echoing in the dark. She hesitated, hand hovering over the handle. The knock came again, softer this time. Almost patient, she took a breath. Opened it. A cold wind rushed in, but behind it stood no creature. Only a shadow, faint and translucent, like a silhouette cut from the night itself. The air around it shimmered with static, distorting light in gentle waves. Lena whispered, "You're not Veilborn." The figure tilted its head. A faint layered voice replied, vibrating through air and bone alike. "They hid us. You revealed us." She gripped the doorframe. "You're the ones behind the gaze. We are the gaze." Diego took a step back, eyes wide. "Why are you here? What do you want from us?" The voice shifted, resonating from everywhere at once, the walls, floor, air. "To know if you understand." Lena steadied herself. "Understand what?" The figure raised an arm, pointing toward the heavens. Through the glass dome of the observatory, the night sky flickered, stars blinking in and out, forming strange, fleeting patterns. "That to see is to change." The room trembled. Screens flashed. Lena saw brief flashes again, glimpses of ancient worlds turning to ash, civilizations building towers to the sky, then vanishing into light. She whispered, "You erased them." They looked too far. They reached with hands, not eyes. "You only saw. So what happens to us?" she asked. The shadow paused. "That depends on your next act." The words hung heavy in the air. The power flickered, then returned, systems rebooting, screens lighting up with streams of alien symbols. Lena ran to the console. The crystal in her pocket began to glow again, pulsing in rhythm with the text. "It's uploading something," she said. Diego peered over her shoulder. "Coordinates." She shook her head. "A design, some kind of interface." The data solidified into schematics, circular arrays, concentric rings, geometric symbols that mirrored constellations. At the center, Earth, it's a lens, Lena breathed. A way to reflect their gaze. You are seen, and now see us. The voice faded, and with it the shadow dissolved, scattering like smoke into the night air. Lena and Diego stood in silence. Then she whispered, "They want us to respond." The following days blurred together. Governments mobilized, satellites reoriented. Scientists worldwide scrambled to decode the data. Across every observatory, astronomers confirmed the same thing. The constellations were wrong. Not random, not broken, rearranged, forming symbols that matched the schematics from Lena's crystal. Someone or something who was building a message in the sky, and Earth was part of it. In Geneva, the United Nations Council convened an emergency summit. Lena was flown in under military escort, carrying the crystal in a sealed case. Inside the Great Chamber, screens displayed her findings. The distortion events, the orbital shifts, the holographic maps. An American general slammed his hand on the table. "We don't know if this is hostile. We need defense protocols now." A Chinese diplomat countered, "Against what? Light? Gravity? You cannot shoot at the sky." An astrophysicist from Japan leaned forward. "They're communicating through geometry. They're asking us to build something." Lena stood. "They've given us the design for a lens. I think it's meant to complete their pattern. A mirror. If we build it, they'll see our response." The room fell silent. Finally, the Secretary General spoke. "And if we refuse?" Lena hesitated. "Then they may assume we didn't understand." A murmur rippled through the chamber. The decision was made. Humanity would answer. Months passed. Beneath the salt flats of Chile, construction began. A massive circular structure spanning kilometers, assembled by an international coalition. Solar panels, superconductors, precision optics, the Helios array, the largest instrument ever built. A mirror pointed not at the stars, but at the void between them. Lena oversaw every stage, her mind torn between wonder and fear. Diego stayed by her side, cataloguing every pulse from the crystal, every fluctuation in the night sky. Finally, the day came. The last panel locked into place. The world held its breath. From the control tower, Lena pressed the activation switch. The array hummed, power surging through its rings. Her beam of soft blue light rose into the sky, splitting the clouds, piercing the upper atmosphere. It vanished into the darkness beyond. For a long moment, nothing. Then the sky answered. Stars flickered. Patterns shifted. The great eye above Earth opened once more, but this time it blinked, slowly, deliberately. Across every continent, people looked up in silence as the heavens moved in ways no human had ever seen. Then a voice, calm, resonant and vast, echoed in every language. "Every mind you have seen, you have understood. You are no longer the observed," Lena whispered, tears in her eyes. "We're the watchers now." The light faded. The stars returned to their ancient positions. The eye was gone, but Lena knew, somewhere beyond, something new had begun. She turned to Diego. They passed the torch. "Now it's our turn," he nodded, gazing skyward. "What do we do now?" Lena smiled faintly. "We watch back." Dawn spilled across the Chilean desert, washing the salt flats in gold. The Helios array lay silent, a great ring of mirrors dormant now, its polished surface reflecting the newborn sun. For the first time in months, the sky was still. No eyes, no distortions, no shifting constellations. Only peace. But Dr. Lena Marquez knew silence was never just silence anymore. Inside the observatory, the machines hummed faintly as global data streamed in. Gravitational readings, quantum fluctuations, atmospheric lensing, all quiet, too quiet. It was like the universe had taken a breath and held it. Diego entered, carrying 2 mugs of coffee. "You haven't slept again," Lena offered a tired smile. "Who can sleep after that?" He set 1 mug beside her. "You mean after humanity blinked back at a cosmic god?" "Yeah, I can see why." She turned toward the viewing glass. The array stretched endlessly, its rings catching sunlight like a halo. "We proved something," she whispered. "That we could be seen and survive it." Diego frowned. "Survive? Or get invited?" Lena glanced at him. "What do you mean?" He slid a tablet across the table. It displayed new readings, faint rhythmic pulses traveling across the solar system. They weren't random. They followed the same pattern the array had emitted. "It's a reply," Diego said quietly. "Something's talking back again." Lena's stomach tightened. "But we shut the array down." "I know. That's what's strange. It's not transmitting. It's receiving." She looked at the graph, pulses growing stronger, closer, as though converging. A message. Or a map. Then the lights dimmed. The monitors flickered. For a heartbeat, the entire observatory glowed faint blue like moonlight beneath water. And the voice came, soft, resonant, familiar. "Dr. Marquez." She froze. "Kale Tor, you've done what even we could not. You answered the gaze. Where are you?" "Far, too far to return. The Watchers do not speak twice. But they have spoken through you. They have marked your kind." Diego leaned closer. "Marked us how?" Kale Tor's tone grew grave. "The light you sent pierced the veil. What lies beyond now knows your world. The gaze is no longer one way. You are part of the chain, observer and observed." Lena's breath caught. "What happens now? Now you look deeper. You see what we could not." The voice faded, leaving only static. Lena sat in stunned silence. Then she whispered, "He's telling us to keep going." Diego rubbed his temples. "Keep going." "Lena, every time we look further, something looks back. What if next time it's not friendly?" She turned to him, eyes steady. "It never was about friendly. It's about truth." In the following weeks, every observatory on Earth aligned toward the array's coordinates. Hidden signals pulsed through the quantum spectrum. Echoes of distant civilizations long gone. Fragments of extinct star systems. Patterns older than galaxies. And threaded through it all, a single recurring motif, the eye. It appeared in light curves, in microwave echoes, even in ancient star maps recovered from lost archives. The gaze had always been there. Humanity had simply never noticed. One night, as Lena reviewed the data, she noticed something new, a faint streak on the edge of the solar system. Not a comet, not a ship. A structure, thousands of kilometers wide, perfectly circular. The array's mirror signal had reflected and been caught. She felt a chill. They built something. Diego squinted at the data. Or they opened something. The signal shifted again. A voice, deeper now, layered, impossible to pinpoint, echoed faintly through the radio band. "Come and see." The world reacted in chaos. Some called it an invitation. Others a trap, nations argued. Faith split. Yet amid the fear, one truth stood clear. Humanity was no longer alone, and for the first time, the question wasn't whether to look, but whether to step through. The United Nations formed the Interstellar Initiative, bringing together scientists, engineers, philosophers, linguists. Lena was named its lead observer. The mission: build a vessel capable of crossing the veil. It took 3 years. They called it the Horizon, a fusion of human engineering and alien insight. Its hull layered with reflective panels that shimmered like stars.